Ish. There we go. Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is us, Melanated Council of Yang, here with you guys live Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and wherever else in between time. You can find us there. As always, please get like, subscribe, enjoy the show. Keep it positive, keep it funky, keep it fresh, and all other good jazz. Because today, or for this month, we're going to be talking about mental. As y'all can tell, my mental is not with me. Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. And so we're going to be talking about mental health and what it means to you guys, what it means to us, how do we kind of like cope, deal with stress, whether it's stress at home, on the job, social media, social life, so forth and so forth. And just basically have a positive conversation about it and go from there, you know? Ooh, excuse me. So when we're thinking about mental health and Mental Health Awareness Month, what kind of things do you guys do to help out with your psyche, I would say? Make sure you don't jump off the deep end head first without a parachute.
No. One way to put it.
Just saying.
Right. True. One thing that I do is I've noticed that walking has been helping me a lot. I actually went for a walk today when I really didn't want to.
Meesh.
You really real one, because I didn't even post this on my channel.
Hey,
Mish.
That's what happens when we subscribe on Twitch. Yeah, that's what happens when you subscribe on Twitch. You get that kind of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, we just got started. Don't worry.
You didn't miss a thing. Yeah. No, I was just saying how walking, like exercise in general, I've been noticing, but walking has sort of, kind of helped me. Because, like, I won't even lie, today I was feeling like absolute garbage. I don't really know why sometimes I just get that way. And I was like, all right, tomorrow I have, personal training, and we're going to be going into the gym tomorrow. And I'm fully vaccinated, by the way. But I was just sort of nervous because, it's been years since I've been in the gym normally. But like since I just started recently working out, we've just been working out outside where there's like barely any people, or just, the occasional person, like couple or older, like mom and dad walking their dog, or mother. And so, but like just to be in a gym environment where a lot of people are going to be buff and, fit, it's sort of intimidating. So I was feeling, nervous, not the best, and just sort of a little bit scared. But I went for a walk, a very, very short one, probably like 10, 15 minutes. Usually if I go for a walk, usually I try to go for like an hour. I try to walk 3 miles at least recently within the past couple of months. But I just needed to get out of the house because I realized I was in the house all day, and that's never good. And sometimes you really just need to be by yourself, not really take your, not really look at your phone, or just be outside and just not really pay attention to anything and just walk. And it made me feel a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was definitely needed. But, yeah, that's one of the things that helps me with my mental health.
Nice. Toby, how about for you?
Yeah, I'm not always very intentional about it, to be honest. So like, it's hard to say exactly the techniques that I do. Like, I know there are times where it's like, okay, I just need to sleep, but even my sleep can be really jacked up. But sometimes it actually can be the case where if I'm feeling overwhelmed because, let's say, there's a lot of people that I need to, like, not that I need to be doing things with, but like I feel maybe overwhelmed by requests from people, or like, oh my gosh, all these. Like sometimes if I don't feel like I have time for myself because I'm always being engaged with people, whether people need me to do something or just whatever, maybe there's times where I just have to like close out of the different social media apps and just kind of do something for myself. Like it may not be always the most relaxing. Like I might watch some YouTube videos about things I'm interested in or read some articles, but it's still like a kind of silence. Especially with articles, like with videos, there's obviously stuff playing and then you have YouTube comments that can be a whole thing. But if you're just like reading articles, so I don't know, for me, I can just like get in this and, you know, my brain is active, but I kind of have shut everything else out. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of like its own story.
Right.
So sometimes like I just have to decide, okay, I really can't respond to these things now. Which is why, unfortunately, sometimes you might see on Instagram that it's just like, I haven't even been on Instagram to see some your message or others. And it's not even like a thing that's personal. It's just like I cannot go into this app to see people for some days. It used to be worse. Like I might not have gone into the app for over a week at a time. But sometimes I just have to decide like, okay, I'm not going to engage with certain media because I can get sucked in very easily. So, you know, it's not necessarily something active, but it's more of like a choice not to engage in certain places because I know that, I don't know, there are certain maybe addictive behaviors or things that I'll fall into. So saying that I'm not going to like fall into the suction of social media today or at this time, it would be good to like have a physical outlet too, like actually going for a walk or something like that, working out, something that kind of like you have to prepare for, you do it and your mind goes to another place. Going out to dances too, like actually going for a walk or I was like, oh my God, what happened? I was like, there's something. Okay, no.
It was Toby of the past or of the future.
Yeah, ghost. Ghost of Toby past. Yeah. I mean, I used to go out more to like, you know, you could say party and going out dancing. Sometimes it's like more chill vibes. There'd be like R&B music. There's like different like environments that were like pretty low drama, good vibes. You know, I didn't necessarily have to go out and get drunk or anything, but those could be like nice releases where I really am putting everything aside. I drive in to the city, like Boston or elsewhere. Yeah. And it's nice to just like have that release where you kind of are away from stuff. You might not be using your phone as much and you're just engaging here and now. And there are also times where I talk to people. And that's not usually intentional, but sometimes I might catch up with someone kind of spontaneously. And that's nice because again, it takes you away from some of the other craziness going on and you get to feel like you're actually like, you're living, you know, you're doing something. You're not just like getting sucked into the spiral of everything, but you're actually intentionally enjoying the company of someone, whether virtually or physically. So it's kind of a few different things. But again, a lot of it's not that intentional, but it's stuff that I noticed will help me feel better mentally and not, you know, have the maelstrom of stuff going on taking up my space.
You're on mute, Ron.
For a second, I thought you were about to say I was on mute. I was like, oh my gosh. I got that whole
just
time.
Let you talk. Just like, I'm
No, it's weird because like I was trying to go to different places and I had to mute myself so the background doesn't feed into the microphone. I had to go put those places on mute and whatnot. But what I was going to say was I agree, like wholeheartedly I agree, due to the fact that I even use myself for an example. You know, within the past few days, maybe a week or two, it just seemed like it was a really, really, really bad day. I know last week wasn't so great for trading for me, and so it kind of just left like a dark cloud over my head, and I'm like, don't like that. But I had to remind myself, get outside of my own self and be like, look, you knew what you signed up for. You knew there was going to be a bunch of risks. There's a bunch of risk in everything that you do, but take it one day at a time, you know, meditate, do what you got to do. So at least that way, when you come back at it, you come back at it with a fresh mind, fresh idea and everything else. And I'm grateful that my oldest, he runs track, and so he keeps me pretty much engaged with him by helping him run track and everything else. And even when it comes to like track meets here and there, I normally tell parents, like, listen, whoever your kid is, I will root for your kid because I'm pretty much going to be the loudest one thanks to my dad. He has a loud voice and whatnot. And so I will root for your kid as well as root for my own, just to let them know, like, hey, you're not in this alone. You're not doing this alone. That no matter what happens, we still got your back. Whether you win or whether you lose, we got your back. And from there, all that positivity, it helps me like more than none. Even just being around my family, they help me to be better. They help me to understand that not only as a man, but just as a human being, that you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but as long as your good days outweigh your bad days, you're going to be fine. Not every day is going to be rainbows and unicorns and sugar gumdrops falling on your head and you're trying to see how many you can catch in your mouth. No, it's not going to be like that. Sometimes you're going to have those hurricanes or those tornadoes, there's those earthquakes that disrupt your life. You're going to have those. But the way how you handle those is going to affect your mental. And however you take it mentally, it's going to internalize to the point where as you keep going, it's going to display itself in a physical manner, and always just keep in mind that no matter what happens, you always have somebody to talk to, and you always have a place to vent. And even if it's just to get some words of encouragement, you do that, and I find myself doing that a lot more, and it's helpful. It's helpful. Very, very, very much helpful, especially when life tends to get stressful. It is very much helpful. So with that, chat, for those who just came in late, the question was, how do you guys deal with your mental health? Basically, like, how do you cope? What are some things that you tend to do? I know for me, I didn't get into that one, but for me, I like gaming. I like video games. That's my escape route. The missus and the kids know, like, if daddy gets on PS4 and if daddy gets on there for like a few hours at a time, probably because daddy is probably stressed out. And so they know to kind of leave me alone. And then once I come back to reality, I'm good. I'm able to be dealt with. I'll put it like that. I'm able to be dealt with. And I'm not lashing out. Go to bed. That's the business behind the camera. She looking at me all weird and crazy, but go to bed. I know. Y'all can't. She act a fool, but yeah, she keeps me rooted. So shout out to that.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
You don't have to see that one. Nah, you good.
It's only 9:20.
That's why you almost choked.
Oh, that's violence.
Please, that's not violence. Please, not at all. It's only violence if it's unwanted.
Wait a second.
So, chat, again, that's the question for you guys. Like, how do you guys deal with stress? What are some things that you guys tend to do? I know Elle said she's walking and exercising. Toby, he just, goes. I don't know, Toby, where do you go?
That's the thing, is it was a whole hodgepodge. I don't know. It's a little bit of chaos up here, so it's not always very well planned on how to deal with it. I just kind of go and go and go and go and go and go. But thankfully, my sleep schedule has realigned a bit, so I feel like I have been able to stop everything and just decide to like lay on the couch a little bit.
There you go.
Which that's even better than just like aimlessly falling asleep. Bad. What's good? from the other side of the pond. Yeah, it varies, but it's nice to have the escape. I will ping on what you said about video games because that was a big thing for me growing up. Me and my brother, we loved their video games. Like that was really what we did in life. It was just like that was our thing that we did together. We watched TV shows as well, and that was always fun. Having our TV shows in a very specific rhythm. But like video games was like the thing that we would just do, and like you said, kind of for hours, and you just get lost in that world. It's a different thing now as an adult. And a friend of mine, I'll shout him out, went to college together, and he's in grad school right now. And he was messaging like a month ago or so. In this, like we have three of us have a group chat. We went to college, and he was saying how he actually started playing video games again, like old games, like Nintendo 64. He said he got like Majora's Mask, and I was like, oh snap! And he said that he's been spending a lot of time playing that with his fiance, and how like he didn't really play the games that much when he was younger. He was like, he may play them when he was young, but then by middle school, high school, he's like, no, that's not for me. Whether it was like the nerd thing or just like, no, that's like for kids. But now he's like, oh, I get it. I see why people really do this because your brain engages in a way that's different than like even when you're watching TV or reading books. I mean, reading books are good too, for sure. People love to like chill with the book. But with video games, you really get immersed. And it's a feeling I haven't had in a while because I don't play games at all these days, but that was just like life. So I feel like I don't have enough time, or I just, have other things I want to keep up with. Like, oh my gosh, I need to catch the latest development, XYZ. But it is like nice to step back and say, no, I can live in my own world. And video games help you do that. I will say this weekend, I was watching Criminal Minds. I was just hanging with a new friend actually. And they had Criminal Minds going on Netflix. And so I was just watching it and watching it and watching it. This might not have been best for the mental health because this was like in the really early hours of like late night, early morning. But honestly, it was really good. I was like, this is super cool. Like just like getting into that zone, and like I wasn't really stressed about it. I was just watching it and I was like, this is cool. So like if you need to do your binge watch on Netflix, do that. I don't do that much really because I always feel like I'm stressed when I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this thing to enjoy. But it's really nice to sometimes do it. Like it's almost like a productive way of, I won't say wasting time, but spending time. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to watch this show. But in my opinion, better than like the social media endless scrolling that can happen. Sure. So sometimes it is nice just to like consume some form of like media. You're doing it. I don't know. You're learning. You're in another world. And you can control it. I mean, you can be addicted to games, but like for me, it's like I can stop whenever. I know people like to say that, right? I can stop whenever I want, but like I could, like if I want to pick up the game and play a game of Smash Bros or Naruto, Mish, you're hip. My Naruto Ninja Storm, I can stop. It's just like it's nice to be able to get, a few rounds in or do whatever. Mm-hmm. So long story short, video games and TV are things I used to do, and I might try to get back into them because they are a nice way to just like sit down and really like. For me, it's a very benign way of escaping.
I remember I read something somewhere on the interwebs recently where I don't know who said this or the quote or how exactly the quote goes, but it went something like, don't forget the things you used to enjoy as a kid because that's what's going to, I don't know, keep you sane when you get older, keep you happy or something like that. And, I realized that to be quite true because, sometimes I fall off of anime and I'm not really watching it too much. And then sometimes I just get really back into it. Like recently I've gotten really back into it because of the last season of Attack on Titan. Like I had to watch season 3 because I didn't watch season 3. Then I caught up and I got to season 4. But when I got my second dose like 2 weeks ago, I took a couple of days off of work just in case I got sick. And I actually did get a little sick. I just got like fever and like aches. But I was just watching anime and just like fiction, supernatural shows like for like several days straight. And I was planning on like doing work, like personal work, whether it was like writing like scripts, jokes, trying to come up with something, get my brain going. But I realized I really just needed that. I really just needed to consume just this, like, just fiction, just anime, just nothing, just because it's not productive, just because it's not, going to steer me in a direction that's going to make me money or something, doesn't mean that it's not necessary. It was just fun watching Demon Slayer. I had no idea what this anime was really. It just kept showing up on my Netflix. So I was like, all right, let me watch this. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was great.
Oh.
And yeah, like My Hero Academia, the new season came out. So I'm watching that on Hulu. I got into like this weird supernatural fiction binge.
Supernatural's where it's at. I don't care what nobody says. Supernatural's where it's at.
Yeah, I was watching the show called The Nevers on HBO Max, and I'm just like, I don't know what the hell this is. Let me just put it on. I watched this one show. It's like, I think it's called Shadow and Bones. I just binged through that on Netflix. I'm like, I don't know what any of this is, but I think it was #1 on Netflix for some reason. I enjoyed it, but it was just, I don't really know why it was #1 though. It was good, but it was just fun to just watch just like random crap and wonder what life would be like if I didn't have to go to work and pay bills. So I'd just be sitting at home watching a ton of shows and not having to worry about a thing. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes you gotta, I guess, in a way, think like that. It's like, what if I, let's pretend for these next 2 evenings I don't have a job, and it's like, what would I be doing? Like, well, what would I be doing to just chill out and relax? I'd probably just be watching TV shows, or used to just be going out and getting a drink. I mean, I guess I can a little bit more so now, but it's still a little different. But yeah, I'm all for just watching TV and playing games. Yeah.
Agreed. I know. Oh man, there's so much you could talk about, especially when it comes to TV. Like I know me, I like to watch Ghost Adventures just because it's like something different. Don't get me wrong, anime is still like top spot. That holds a special place in my heart. Video games, again, they hold a special place in my heart. Don't care, but I could binge watch Ghost Adventures until like late into the hours, i.e. demon time, and still kind of get a little scared to the point where I'm still tossing and turning in my bed, but I still get some kind of sleep. But again, it takes my mind off of what's going on for a split second. And then when I come back, I'm like, okay, I could deal with this. This is not so bad, but I could deal with this, and which leads into another thing. When we're dealing with mental health, do we take it out in a negative way when it comes to dealing with mental health? Like, I know some people, they may lash out at others, or some people, they may harm themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, what are some of you don't have to bring up anything specific for yourself, but what are some of the negatives when it comes about not dealing with mental health?
Mm-hmm. Like when you said lashing out, that sort of spoke to me. I feel like that's just something that's just common in, like, I guess, like Caribbean households. Like literally every one of my Caribbean friends who especially were born here or grew up here, and whenever they talk about their family and stuff like that, it's just kind of like, yeah, I think, like, why is everybody just so angry all the time? And and like nothing can be perfect, and I don't know, but no, lashing out, I would say, is definitely one where you're projecting an anger that you. I think it's usually from when something just bubbles up, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's parent, child, boyfriend, significant other, coworkers, colleagues, neighbors. Sometimes things just get boiled up to a point where they want to say something that's been bothering them, but they just don't know how to convey that in a healthy manner. One of my good friends, he's actually polyamorous, and he was telling me about something that I guess he learned from the poly community. I don't know if like every poly person does this, but one thing that he told me that really kind of blew my mind in a way when it came to relationships, or just any sort of relationships, is you might get into an argument or something at one point, or something might be something might be bothering somebody, or like your significant other or whatever. And it's kind of good or healthy to maybe like once a week or once every 2 weeks to kind of just be in a neutral place at a, like kind of in a way like a designated time. It was like a meeting, and just talk about anything. Just like, hey, has anything been occurring? Has anything been, how have you, sort of like just like a mental check-in just to see how you're doing. And I thought that was kind of interesting because you never really think of that or see that in TV shows or anything yeah, so I just thought that was, interesting, that I think it would be good if more people just checked up on each other or like, hey, how are you doing? Because something could just be bubbling up. So yeah, definitely lashing out is not dealing with your mental health in a healthy way.
Right.
Being mentally unhealthy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
There we go, Matt.
Yeah, I should have seen something like that coming. That I don't know. I don't remember if you got the memo, but I moved to a new apartment 3 weeks ago, exactly today, 4/20. It's crazy. Time is going, but I mean, yeah, it's 3 weeks. So unfortunately, this apartment is whatever. Anyone's trying to come through and help me organize it, feel free, but maybe not now because obviously.
You should put a framed picture of a fridge behind you.
That's an interesting idea.
I mean, that would be an interesting conversation piece. Like if I were to go to a guy's house and he had a framed picture of his refrigerator, I would have to ask him, like, where did you get this?
Boom. Look at
you
that.
like it that much. You hung it up in your house.
I should have actually taken a picture of the fridge like before I moved and just been like, boom. Then I could have made a full size or something, taken a picture, or even make an NFT since that's what we're doing now. So here's an NFT of my fridge, perfectly clean before I hand it off to the next resident. So in seriousness though, some negatives, I guess. No worries, but I mentioned it, but I didn't make a huge fanfare about it. It was just once it got done, that thing was out. Like I was like, all right, we're done with this. Still have stuff I need to do, but anyway, I guess when it comes to some negatives, one thing that I've talked to about, because I actually had a life coach and I was talking with her, and in general, I've talked to a few people about the concept of like staying up late, which I mean, I've always done, and it's been a bad habit, but I've realized I actually do it more because it's a way of like coping with or postponing the inevitable of the future. So like if I have things to do at work or something, it's just like, well, I can stay up late where I'm not being bothered by anyone. There's less like notifications going off. There's less things. I can just kind of like watch videos in peace. I can just scroll aimlessly in peace, except it's not really in peace because if I stay up till like some ungodly hour, like 4 a.m., I then will sleep in or I'll feel like crap during the day. So that's like a really bad like way of dealing with like issues that I don't want to deal with. So I'm staying up late and then it's like borrowed time because I didn't handle things well during the day, or I wasn't talking to people or doing what I needed to do during the day. So in order to sort of procrastinate or like postpone the inevitable, it's like, let me just stay up some super late hour. And this was happening really badly, like earlier during the COVID, you know, like working from home and all the stuff. Like there was a point where it was pretty regular that like, maybe I'll take a nap and I'll wake up at some hour in the evening, and then I'll be up through the night. Or I might wake up around like 2 or 3 a.m. Sometimes that'll happen, is I'll wake up like shortly after midnight, and then I'll just be up until like, oh, I can just like do whatever I want until I have to go to work. But it's because I'm like putting it off, or I'm just like not like addressing issues that need to be addressed. So instead it kind of like cuts into my sleep, where I'm like using this time, because I don't want to like go to sleep and wake up and it's 8 a.m. and then I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I hate everything. So instead it's like, well, why don't I just stay up that whole time so I can somehow postpone the inevitable instead of like time traveling to 8 or 9 a.m. So that's one bad way. That's like one bad, like really bad way to handle stress and like things that I don't want to deal with. Mm-hmm. So not sleeping, to sort of give myself borrowed time. Also, you could say in some ways, like social media is fine in moderation, but there's sometimes where it's just like, you're really like avoiding things that you should be avoiding and like spiraling. I call it like the death spiral of like Instagram or Twitter, where you're like so many levels deep into something that you didn't want to be in. So getting hooked on social media is another really bad, like, I wouldn't say it's like lashing out, but it's just like a bad outlet. Even like with Netflix, there were times where I remember I was watching, because I was really into, like, I still am, but I haven't finished them all, like the Marvel shows on Netflix, which unfortunately all got canceled. But like, I remember it was like last year, April, May, maybe going to June. And there were times where, again, I was like up at some ungodly hour and I'm just like binge watching, like, let's say Punisher. No, that wasn't Punisher. It was definitely like Luke Cage season 2 or Iron Fist season 2 or Jessica Jones. Either way, I'm binge watching these shows into like the wee hours. And I remember it would literally be like, I have a meeting at 8 a.m. that I really don't want to deal with, or even like a meeting at noon. Sometimes like these meetings I knew were not going to be great. There were things that just need to be worked through, issues that need to be resolved. And like, I'm just sitting here like watching these videos instead of like dealing with what I need to deal with in the real world. And so sometimes you can kind of escape, but without really handling stuff that needs to be handled. So, I mean, there's a balance with that. So I typically don't lash out. That's like one good thing I'll pride myself on, is like my stress doesn't usually come onto other people. But you know, we all have like the things that we could do better with in terms of mental health. So I know that for me, it's kind of just like the avoidance is the big one. So I'm not going to deal with the issue. So I'm going to just like not deal with it. Like even maybe communications that I know I should engage in and I don't, because I just know that it will seem to cause more problems. But instead of like having a healthier outlet to address it, it's just like, let me just not deal with it. I remember a guy posted a thing on his Snapchat story. He was like, y'all love laid back guys until you get left on red because the guy doesn't want to deal with your with your drama or with your whatever. I'm sorry, y'all. But it was I kind of was like, that's kind of funny. But like, I don't really leave people on red, but like there are times where it's just like, I don't think I can engage with this. And instead of like having a better way of like processing it, it's just like, well, I guess I'm just not going to come back to this for a while. Usually not so much with people who I'm actually close to and care about, but it might just be like, I'm not going to put this energy in when I have other things to do. And sometimes that's good for yourself, but there are times where it's like, I probably should handle this sooner than later before time passes and then other things catch up. So, you know, avoidance is a big thing for like not being a great outlet with mental health. And it does like end up kind of like Ellie, you were saying, like something that becomes like a bigger issue later. Like you don't know how to like deal with it. And then later on, maybe it becomes something worse. So healthy outlets early is good instead of letting things just forever bubble up.
Right. So true. So true. Oh man, I mean, I was just thinking about the conversation I had with my oldest. He's in middle school, and the one thing and I'm pretty sure this is gonna get brought up once, but the one thing we talked about was suicide, and how like his age group, especially in the city that we live in, his age group is more susceptible to suicides, and especially dealing with COVID. I know the early part of COVID, especially here in our city, it was manageable. It was totally different and whatnot. But as time grew on, we were seeing more and more kids his age, either attempting suicide or actually committing suicide. And I had to let them know, like, dude, no matter what happens, don't allow what's going on in your circle or what's going on with you to the point where you can't reach out and talk to anybody. Like, and especially with your friends, like, make sure you check up on your friends, and let them know, like, hey, we may have different opinions here and there, but at the end of the day, if you still want to reach out and talk to me, I'm still here. I'm still available, because I don't want you to feel as though you're going through something by yourself, And he kind of was like, really, I'm like, dude, yeah, like when me and mom were growing up, like suicide, we heard about it, but it wasn't common. It was one of those things where it was almost like a random occurrence, And I told, like, even then, when we lived out in Colorado Springs for those 7 years, a lot of people that were committing suicide were those who were coming home after being deployed for like X amount of years. They come back to base and they're offing themselves, And it's like, it's more prevalent now. It's like now it's trickled its way down to your guys' age group. And it's like, it's going to happen. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but it's going to happen. Like, but don't allow whatever you're dealing with be the reason why you got to commit suicide. Like, don't let it be. Like, there's too many people in the world that love you, that care for you, and everything else. Like, don't let that be the final say. Don't let that be the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, no, reach out, And even then, me and the missus, we have this thing where it's like, every so often we do a mental health check-in. Like, hey, where are you at mentally? What's going on mentally? Because we understand that sometimes we may not understand what each other is going through, but always being able to have that listening ear to help out with the situation. And all the things it takes is somebody, as my neighbor would say it, to have a big ears and a tiny mouth, just to be able to listen to what you're saying, and you physically being there is all the help that they need. You don't even have to say a whole lot. Just be like, hey, you got this. I'm here with you. You're not alone. And that in itself will help out tremendously. And shout out to Tamar. Hello. Get some. Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I like what Nish said here. I struggle with avoidance too. Months of stressing about a simple task, followed by 15 minutes of actually doing the thing. Like that happens to me too, where I just let things fall to the wayside, not really intentionally, but I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally. And then, I end up doing it. It's like it wasn't long, but I don't know. I feel like I'm waiting for the perfect moment to, do like a stupid task.
Hey, like, I'm with you, El. Procrastination is a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. And even then, I don't even call it procrastination. It's like, if I know I got to do something, and it could even take me like 5-10 minutes to get it done. Okay, I would say, oh, I got time, and I would go off doing something totally different. And by the time I actually think about doing what I had to do in the first place, it's already days on end, and now I'm stressing my own self out because I didn't do it at the time that I was supposed to. Now I got, not only do I got this to deal with, but now I got this plus C, D, E, F, G to deal with.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes even, at least for me, like the initial thing that I put out plus B, C, D, E, F things don't even take long. And, you know, like let's say I was expecting a guest and it was like sort of last seconds, like, hey, I'm popping in. You know, I was like, oh shit, now I gotta, I don't know, like clean up, clear things up or blah, blah, blah. And you know, I could get everything done and looking nice in 30 minutes. But if I'm doing it for myself, then it's just, you know, who knows? Nobody knows. But it's, I don't know. I feel like I just work on two sides of the spectrum, whether everything is spick and span, and then other things it's just, I don't know, a mess. But
it's good.
People, I don't know. At least to me, there's no in between. Maybe there is an in between. I'm just not acknowledging it.
Who knows? I mean, there's a gray area. There's a gray area somewhere. I don't care what nobody says. There is a gray area.
I agree.
It's just in that gray area. What do you do in that moment? Ooh.
I agree with something that that was just said. Well, I think it was Mish and yeah, like it's pain. Like, and I shared an article that basically talked about procrastination and pain management. How procrastination is less about laziness and time management and more like the stressing of the thing that you put off, even though it's going to be worse off in the future. But I guess as humans, we're not built for like long-term decision making sometimes. So it's like you do this thing that you put it off because you don't want to face it now, and then it becomes worse. So it's an interesting thing about like being able to manage your emotions and like face certain things, and that will help down the road. But no, I'm really glad for the comments here because there's a lot of things that are just super relatable. Same thing with Bat, what you said. Like I haven't really been diagnosed with a whole lot. That's another thing. Is like when it comes to actual like stigmas and diagnoses.
Come on, Kobe.
Yeah, you already know. Like this is a whole hot mess, like in communities and like media, whatever. I mean, the conversation has been better more in recent years, but sometimes you're just told to like, especially as men, I mean everywhere, but men, you know, it's just like, you know, toughen up, or just like, you know, you can't really talk about sometimes these things when you actually struggle and you're legitimately struggling because, you know, it's just people don't talk about that. And I'm glad that like people are a little more open to now. Like growing up, I dealt with mostly like learning disabilities, like ADHD, things like that. So it was, that could be like also where a lot of like issues would come from. I never had like anxiety and other things, though I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things I dealt with led to that. And I've just been like undiagnosed. I've actually considered having like a behavioral psychiatrist appointment just to kind of like get a better scope of what's going on here and things I deal with. Like now, I mean, medication is definitely a good thing. But I understand people who aren't as eager to be on it because of side effects, but I think it's good to at least know what you're dealing with and what things like you have. If it's anxiety, if it's like depression, you know, and let people close to me who I never would even thought talk about how they were diagnosed with depression. And now, you know, they're able to manage it. But otherwise it's hard if you're not aware of what it is that you're dealing with. And it's super, super, you know, it's normal. It's important, right? It doesn't make you weaker or any kind of less to acknowledge these things because, you know, we're human. There are chemical imbalances. There's whatevers. And, you know, it should be talked about more openly and freely. So.
No, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And Toby, I'm glad you brought up that piece of information because that's going to lead us into a whole nother topic. Because we understand especially here in the Black community, and especially those who tend to go to church. This is for y'all. This is for y'all.
Preaching tonight.
Even though, yes, we're going to talk about that in a different segment, but this segment is crucial. I mean, it's hard to talk about Black folks and mental illness, especially when a lot of times a lot of people tend to go to church. You know, it's one of those things where it almost become, and I'm gonna use this word very loosely for obvious reason, where it almost becomes demonized, because it's like, okay, we understand that a person's psyche is very influential. It could be very much influenced, and sometimes, even though we may say that that person may have spirit, a lot of time it just very well could be like, no, that person is actually going through depression. That person actually does have a diagnosed mental illness, and even then, you know, I know my pastor, he said it a few times, like, you know, if you have a mental illness, go get that checked out. You know, don't make it seem as though that, you know, it's something you get prayed away. Like, sometimes, no, that may not be something that could be prayed away, but it may need you to go to a doctor who specializes in mental health, who can help you. He's like, I know 2 associate ministers, he said, I know 2 people, both of them are counselors in mental health. He said, and one of them, he's a minister of the gospel. But at the same time, he's going to tell you, like, you know, hey, if you need medication, you're going to need this medication to help you with your depression or to help you with whatever you're going on with. Or even if you don't need medication, if you even just need like an outlet just to talk to, he's like, go do that. Like, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you to understand what's going on in your psyche. And it could be something that traumatized you as a kid. You know, if you are as an adult, you're trying to figure out why certain things are happening, and how sometimes when of your family reach a certain age, it almost seems as though this very same thing happens generation after generation after generation. You know, maybe you need to go and figure out what's going on. You know, how come Big Mama, and now myself, how come we're all suffering through the same thing, and it always starts, or typically starts, at the same age? You know, why is that? And, you know, he's very vocal about it. And I wanted to bring that up because, again, especially in the African American community, it's something that we don't talk about a lot. Now is at the point where it is. You know, and not even just African Americans, just anybody that's a person of color who is affected with mental illness. Sometimes it hasn't been always the best time and a place to talk about it, but with this pandemic, it now forces people to have those uncomfortable conversations and to not only be real. And men, don't get mad at me when I say this, because y'all know what I mean too, but also be vulnerable and know that, hey, I'm dealing with something right now. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak. No, it just means you're dealing with something that's stronger than you, and you can't really deal with it on your own, that you're going to need people to surround you to help you out. You know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
For sure. You know, I really got to get on getting a therapist, because talk about procrastination. I've printed out these papers that I needed to fill out, and it was like 4 like packets of papers. And I finally finished filling it out, so I got to drop it off to him. This was like 2 fucking months ago. I was like, I don't even know if he remembers me. I wouldn't remember me, but Like,
Wow.
phone call with him. Yeah, so I gotta do that. Hopefully still has space. Hopefully he's still accepting new patients.
Oh, hell.
I know, but it's sort of hard. Like, but like I really just have to make the time out and really do it. I guess I'll probably call him again saying, "Hey, I called like 2 months ago."
That's so true. Yes, L, you need that.
Oh, yeah.
Please, oh, do that. Get that done. Even if somebody got to drag you to get it done.
That's true.
Yeah,
I've had a therapist before, like a counselor or something, for a few years, and it was good. It's one of those things that you don't really realize it was good until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice talking to a third party person who doesn't know anything about you, and they're just willing to listen and hear you and advise you, and are just there for you. Because a lot of times, I feel like I'm the one out of my friend group sometimes who people come to me so they can, vent and things like that. And, I advise or whatever, or, being the funny one, I got to entertain and this and that, sort of forgetting that, I'm a whole ass person too who has shit to say. But, a lot of people tend to, like, when you're talking to them, sometimes they just interrupt you and start talking about their own shit. And it's like, hey, I was talking about something, and then you wonder, was I talking for too long? Is this person just bored with me, or is this person just an asshole? It's usually the last one, but sometimes, or just not really cognizant that they're even interrupting people.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yes, for sure, Mish. And like I said before too, and I look at this pandemic in a now that it's been a year. Yes. Yeah. You're not even 3/4. No, you are a whole person. Yeah.
A whole ass person.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't realize I said that, but yeah.
Oh, yes. Hey, Mish, clip that. If since you're on Twitch, clip that. Maybe entitle it "New Quote for the Month." Type, yeah. Quote what else said.
Yes, I'm a whole ass person too.
Clip that.
I love how we just delegated that to Mish. Like you're like a fourth member now. You're just like our.
I'll put it to you like this: if anybody that's on Twitch and I know I'm tourist on Twitch, and I do this for anybody that I watch. If I could get a good clip, oh yeah, I'm clipping the mess out you. I don't care what you said. I'm clipping you. Yes. I'm clipping you. But they thank me for it. Like in the long run, they thank me for it. And it's funny because I'll go in there and I'll blast a clip like, hey, you remember when you said this? No, it's like, okay, here's a clip. And then why did you clip that? Like, well, see what happened was, I know you got short-term memory, so this is to remind you that this is what you said. Oh no! You that one you get for free.
Yeah, go ahead.
You get that for free. You ain't gotta apologize. You get that one for free.
I apologize. But it's true. Sometimes you really, I don't know. Sometimes you just, like when I'm interacting with people, I feel like sometimes I just forget, I'm a whole ass person.
Oh, jeez.
Instead of an asshole, you're a whole ass.
Yes, Mish, come through with a clip.
Oh snap! You are the best. You are the best, for real.
Yeah. Yes. Matter of fact, is it? Oh yeah. So if you guys haven't been on the Twitch, go to Twitch McCoy org. That's where you can find that clip at. L's new quote for the month. Yes. Share that wherever you can.
Thank
and
you.
Black. Shout out to Mish. Yes. But yes, seriously. And L, I totally get where you're coming from too. And it's like, dude, you're not the only person that got problems. Like I got problems of my own. Like I was only like 2 minutes in to explain what my issue was, and here you go talking about something you talked about 30 minutes ago. Like, bro, give me 5. Give me 5 minutes. That's it. I just need 5 minutes of your time. Just give me 5. I gave you 30. I just want 5.
I know, right? It's like, yo. Some custom emotes. Oh. How do you become a Twitch affiliate?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked, L. Yes, and Mish, you are so on it. Yes. Okay, so for anybody that is watching us right now, whether you're on Periscope / Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, in order for the McCoy Twitch account to get certain stuff, we got to get subscribers. I mean, subs. That's what they call it on Twitch. Subs. So the more subs we get, the more perks we get, part like that. And at the same time, the more you get people to watch the channel and whatnot, that helps out as well. And so as we're posting content, as we're doing content and everything else, get as many people as you can. In that way, that helps to promote the channel. By having more people watching at a certain time, and even if we gotta do like X amount of streams per week, that helps out as well. And so by us doing that, the more content we put out, the more people that watch, the more people that subscribe, the higher we go up in levels. And so by the time we should get to affiliate, that's where Mish said that the channel itself gets custom emotes, gets like a little bit more perks and everything else. And so it's a whole grand scheme of things. But the one quote that I got on my little whiteboard, it says, slow and steady wins the race. So over time, that's what we're doing. That's what we're promoting. So if you guys can help out, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Mish, I'm like you too. Like I want to say professional. I'm a semi-pro stream viewer. Like I follow like 3-4 people. I follow more than that. Probably like 10. I follow like 10 people. I'm subscribed to like 5. You know, just because it's like I enjoy their content that much, and I liked what they got to say, and a lot of them I've actually played games with, so I'm like, I'm cool with that. Yes, so true, so true. And Mish, thank you for the promo. We hurt you. We hurt you. But yeah, oh man, yes. So if you guys can, promote that thing as much as possible. Anyways,
something that I was thinking on that front too was like the kind of like what you're saying about like, you're trying to tell your problems, but you might get interrupted or however. And sometimes like if you're more, the nice guy or girl, it's like you kind of don't want to either cause conflict or you don't always advocate for yourself. And that also ends up similar to like the things build up and then it ends up coming out in the bad way. Even if you don't snap at someone, it ends up coming more of an internal maybe resentment or something where you're like dealing with this burden. So sometimes it's just like you have to like advocate for yourself. That's another big part of mental health, advocating and boundaries. The word boundaries is like, that is the big one that I've heard like last year, even like 2019, people always talk about boundaries. Actually there's a book. Wow, it's right here. Crazy. called Boundaries. It's more from a Christian perspective, but it has
I think we're gonna look.
Yeah, Boundaries by Dr. Townsend something. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. A friend recommended that it's good just in terms of, because it's not just boundaries with other people, it's also internal. It might help you with like things like procrastination or not having as much self-control when it comes to your social media binges or whatever. But boundaries are a big thing. And sometimes it might just be like, hey, you know, if someone says something or they go over a line or they're not respecting your time, or they're not, you know, you're trying to talk and they're like always talking over you. There's like just these different things where it's not easy for me at all. Like I usually just kind of let it happen, especially if it's not that common, but it can like take a toll if you always feel like stressed or like you're having to like shrink yourself in a way when you're talking to certain people or about certain things. That can be a big thing where you realize that you just don't want to put up with certain things. And it's important to recognize that. I mean, what do you do with that? It's kind of your choice. I'm not necessarily saying you have to cut people off, but sometimes people have to do that. But I just feel like at least stepping up and saying something like, hey, it might be hard if it's like family and people who are just used to like having their way with you, or people who are used to treating you a certain way. It might just be like, yo, I'm not with that. Like, I'm really not trying to deal with that. And I don't know, you know, people don't always react to that very well, but it's an important thing to like have those boundaries, and then if they decide to cross them, that's up to them, and then things can go, you know, that's when you might have to be like, all right, we're done, or you limit the presence, love from afar or whatever. But that's something that crossed my mind when you were talking about like being interrupted or other things, where it's just kind of like, again, like sometimes it's not a big deal, but if it's like a common thing and it's something that really bothers you, sometimes you just have to say something. And when you don't, that takes a toll.
Yes.
For sure. I'd say the getting interrupted thing is my number one, or at least top 3 biggest turnoffs when it comes to dating. It is the most aggravating and excruciating thing. And what I always find ironic is whenever these guys do this, they would always be like, oh, you know, like, you're so good at conversation, or you're such a great listener. I was like, yeah, but you didn't give me any other opportunity to do anything else. I could only listen. Every time I tried to talk, you know, I could probably get 9 words in if I was lucky. And then you'd go and interrupt and talk about, you know, for 20 minutes. And no, yeah. I mean, I feel bad sometimes because I'm wondering. I think I just don't want to teach grown men things that I feel like they should already know. I don't want to be the one. Sometimes I think, should I be the one? Should I just be like, hey, dude, you keep interrupting me. It's fucking annoying. And will he learn for the next girl? I don't know. But I don't feel like this should be my job, especially if I'm not getting paid for it.
That last thing was funny. I saw someone post something on Twitter. Were you still, or
what is it?
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut off if you were still talking. I was
no. I wanted to know what you were saying.
Okay. I was just saying that it was someone that tweeted something that was very similar, where it was like, I think someone tweeted something about like, as a woman, apparently all I am is like helping train and groom these people to like improve. And then I just remember one girl quote tweeted saying like, if my job is to basically be like coaching these men that put me in, and I will play my position to the fullest or something. Like, it was some kind of sarcastic tweet or like joking tweet, but it was just like, yo, that's kind of crazy, where it's like, I'm the woman who like always helps the men become better for his one.
Right, yeah.
And it's just like, dang, that's kind of wild. So you might as well just be a coach. Might as well buy you a whistle and whatever stereotypical coach things.
I mean, I've honestly like putting on Fiverr like how I could improve your dating profiles on Tinder or whatever. Like, I've considered this because a lot of them are just trash, and it's like there's no punctuation. I don't know what the hell you're saying. You're not saying anything. I don't know what the hell you want. And yeah, or it's sad. It's really, like I've thought of this because men need help, and I don't know who's helping them because it doesn't seem like anyone is.
Oh, God.
Or they're just out here thinking that they figured it out when they don't. When it comes to dating, this is what I'm talking about, but and a lot of other things too. But
Oh, yeah.
I will say that what RPI, where I was in grad school, I remember seeing a sign somewhere that said like they would pay some amount, maybe starting at $5, and then it got progressively higher to review Tinder profiles. And I was like, wow, someone's really making a business. Now, RPI was a technical school, Polytechnic Institute, and it was 70% men to 30% women. So, I mean, this is a brilliant idea. Technical Institute, guys who probably are in their man caves or their game. I mean, hey, listen, I'm not against a good game night session with friends. I'm not above Smash or Naruto, whatever. But the point is that like people who may not have had as much interaction with
the opposite sex,
the female race, like man, they need these kind of things. So someone was like, hey, shoot, or $15. I don't remember how much it was, but go for it. Review Tinder profiles for profit. I've even seen websites that do. I didn't pay for them, but I remember like I was low-key curious, so I like went online and like tried to get my profile looked at just to kind of see like what things need to be improved. And I've had female friends who've looked, like not even me suggesting, they're like, oh my gosh, let me see your Tinder profile, and they like immediately off the bat were like, boom, there are these things you need to fix. Have a full body pic, have this, and I was like, dang, this is not a bad hustle. So yes, remember your gig work episode, get out there and do your thing. Or you can the I thought you were gonna say was advertise yourself as a temporary girlfriend, as like I will be the girlfriend that will help you become better or someone.
That's not a bad idea either.
I mean, I don't know though. Like that's, I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll come up with a new app or dating kind of service.
Right.
I actually do know one girl. She's a black. I think she worked at IBM, but she was like a black worker in tech. Okay. Here in the Boston area, and like she was talking about an idea of like a dating app where almost like a game, like you kind of advance by like learning how to like take women on dates and like what things properly that woman. So from a woman's point of view, like what do you as a man need to do to like be better? And I thought of it really recently, like a week or two ago. I was like, yo, I need to hit her up about this, because if she's actually trying to do this, that's like a big thing that people will want to use. Women will be like, yes, we can teach the men how to like properly do things. I mean, different women's preferences are different, but at least you still have like a general consensus. And then the men could have a better return on.
Dogecoin, possibly.
Oh man. Oh yeah, I did.
Like what dating app guys need ample amount of help on for some reason? It's Hinge. Guys, like their dating apps on Hinge is just so bad. Like, so Hinge, for those who don't know, so like they advertise themselves as the dating app designed to be deleted. So it's like they're known for getting a lot of good first dates, and people tend to usually use them if they're looking for something serious. Tinder is more so casual. Bumble's sort of in between Tinder and Hinge. I would rate them. So Hinge, you have 6 pictures, and then you answer 3 questions, and then you have a little snippet of like info, like your age, your like if you smoke or drink, or like where you're located, and like what you do for a living, like, and if you went to college or something, your education. So, and it's all like in a row that you scroll. So a lot of times I see guys keep posting the same picture over and over again. Or they'll have 3 pictures and then they duplicate them to fill out the other 3, which is very odd. You know, it's like you might as well, with your smartphone, that you most likely have. That's why you're using this app. Just take some more photos of yourself. But no, they want to use some. I don't know. There's only 3 photos or 2 photos. A lot of time, like also you ask, like they have questions that you answer, and then it's on your profile. You can pick whatever question. Sometimes they will not say anything. They'll put like ... for everything, as if they're mysterious, but it just comes off as annoying and pretentious, or just like you don't know how to use this app, which makes me worried. and yeah, like a lot of guys say the exact same thing. Like one of the questions that's a common one is, what would your last meal be? And guys literally have 3 different answers. It's either sushi, pizza, or tacos. And I'm like, those would really be your last meal? Like shit that you eat all the time? But it just doesn't seem like they gave it much thought, or they're just probably hoping that they seem cool, or I don't know, but I don't know. It doesn't seem interesting, but yeah, guys need a whole lot of help on Hinge.
Man, I feel bad for them.
Fair enough.
I feel bad for them. All of y'all out there on Hinge and Tinder and
Bumble,
whatever. I don't know.
I've not been in the game.
They need to probably watch this episode, because maybe their mental psyche is like damaged to the point where they don't know how to fill out a basic questionnaire about themselves. Like, if anything, the reason why you have an app is to advertise yourself. And most positive advertisements have a very good return than being the cliche, mysterious, oh, I'm so deep thought, perverse person, but once you get to know me, I'm just shallow. Like, come on, dude. Like, if you really want to oppress a young lady, like, say something impressive. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, like, be clever.
Yeah, I remember I read this one. I don't know if it was a blog or an article. I think I've mentioned this on this before. If not, this one girl who wrote the article said, like, what girls pretty much want is for a guy to be interested and interesting. So be interested in me, but also be interesting. You know, have a hobby, do something, have something to talk about. You know, something that you're probably passionate about, something that you're working towards. So like just be interesting in some fashion, but also be interested in me, which would be, you know, not cutting me off every 7th word, and actually listening to me and engaging in questions and conversations about, you know, to further understand what it is that I like, what it is that I do, what it is that I'm talking about. So yeah, that's it.
So for y'all that just had no clue what Elle just said, press pause, rewind, and go back, pause again, take notes, unpause, and do it again until you completely got your life figured out. Because obviously there's a huge disconnect. We don't know where we know where it's at, but we're not gonna hurt your feelings. I don't care. I might hurt your feelings. I don't care. I don't. But at the same time, if you want to get some help, that young lady right there, bam.
We're gonna have to have a repeat of our Valentine's Day thing, but more based off of advice and help. That would be interesting.
I mean, I'll try. I mean, I also live in South Florida, so it's a high, really attractive people, but they're also very stupid or conceited. or or just I don't know. So there's that aspect of it. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just mind numbing talking to these men. And hey, Nate. Hey, I'm glad you joined.
Hey.
Hey. I don't know if you heard my dating advice rant.
If not, you can always wait until tomorrow to catch the replay, and then you can do the pause, rewind. Yeah.
But I did want to mention something, and it does pertain to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because I see this a lot on dating apps where guys would say quite often they want a woman that's loyal, and I wrote this in a tweet the other day where they really want loyalty, loyal. Like they would say it multiple times in their profile, and I see it quite often in men's profiles, and it's clear that they've felt some kind of hurt, and I'm guessing their ex-girlfriend probably cheated on them or something of that regard, and it's just and they're sort of just putting that out there, which I feel like it's in a way. I forgot what the word that we said before, but just like exploding our unhealthy mental health habits onto something, or projecting something, not necessarily saying that these guys have cheated on girls, but maybe they have too, and they're projecting as well. But yeah, I guess we didn't really talk too much about mental health when it comes to relationships and dating, and there's the whole aspect of you can't really we've all gone through bullshit and experiences and things like that, but you can't let that you can't project that onto a new person, because you may have gone to like I was listening to a podcast with Nicole Byer and Dion Cole's Nicole Byer's podcast, Why Won't You Date Me? And Dion Cole was on it. Dion Cole, the comedian, who's fucking hilarious and just a phenomenal actor and amazing person. But he was talking about how, like, let's say you went to an ice cream shop with a new date, but like your previous girlfriend or something, when you guys went to this particular ice cream shop or a ice cream shop, flipped out on the server or something, or cussed you out or something, you can't really bring that thought into, or you shouldn't be expecting that, or having your guard up, or trying to say some fuck shit to kind of provoke her into thinking that, because like, oh, she's probably going to flip out on the server, she's probably going to throw her ice cream at me, it's probably going to be some craziness because this is what I've gone through in the past. It's like, no, like you have to give everybody, a brand new chance. It's a new Word doc, it's a new tab, it's a new page. You can't. It's a new book. You can't act like, this thing is going to happen again. So that's one way to describe it.
Yeah. Agreed. Be
better at dating, you'll have better mental health. I guess.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And just to piggyback off what Elle said, especially when it comes to relationships, that's so key. That is so key, because how in the world are you going to build a stable relationship with anybody if you yourself is jacked up? Like, what are you going to bring to the table if you're always holding on to your past relationship, whether it was good or bad? You're in a new relationship because obviously the old one wasn't working out. And wait.
Sorry. I was trying to hold my laugh when I saw that comment come through.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know, icecreamsocial.com. I don't know. Who
I mean,
knows?
I'm sure it's a fetish. I'm sure you can find it.
Oh, I know one. OnlyFans. Bam.
Oh, true. Yeah. You know, if you request that from somebody.
There you go. There you go. But seriously, you think about it, like if you're not going, if you're going into a new relationship and you're bringing baggage from your old one, obviously there's some stuff that you have to let go as an individual before you get into your new relationship. Because even though, yes, with the old relationship, yeah, there may have been some good things that came out, there may have been some bad things that came out. It's up to you to decipher what to leave, what to bring along to help build you up. Because if the next relationship that you go into, hopefully this is going to be the one that's going to last a while, make it count. And if not, learn from those experiences and then go forward, you know? And I find it funny because the one thing that makes sense to me is I was doing some studying on a video, and the one guy, he said that when it comes to trading, you have to be comfortable. You know, you have to make sure that not only are you comfortable in your environment, not only are you comfortable with yourself as a person, but you also have to be comfortable with yourself mentally, because 90% of your trading is mental, the 10% is technical. And I'm like, wow, like that makes sense. And even then, you can translate that into relationships. Like, you know, a lot of it, what you bring to the table is all mental. The rest of it is pretty much how, I want us to say like how you sell yourself, but how you talk and interact with the other person, you know? And even if you don't agree all the time, that's fine. You're not supposed to. You know, if you did, that'd be really weird. You know, be really weird. Like, I'm not here to find somebody who likes everything that I like. That's boring. Like, no. If I like, yes, like, I'm not here to date me. I'm here to date somebody else. Like, I like driving fast in my car. Like, I love it. It's exhilarating. If you don't like that, okay, you should let me know. Like, you know, hey, don't push your car to like 90 miles an hour. It scares me. Like, okay, I get it. We'll cruise at 75. Will that work? Sure. Okay, what do you like to do? You know, oh, I like to throw rocks at broken windows. Okay, you know, what else? What else? I don't like that. It's illegal somewhere, but okay. But hey, if that's what you like to do, and hopefully not get caught, okay, just know that you, in your fear of not driving away fast, is going to prompt me to drive away fast to escape the law. Just saying, you know.
I mean, just don't count on me to bail you out when somebody catches you throwing rocks at the window.
That part, I ain't got money for that. I don't. I will leave you in the cell for 24 hours.
I love that.
It's called Rock My World.
Yeah.
Toby with the pun.
Or something about window pane. Erica! And
rock my window pane.
Sure, as well. Rock my window pane.
Hey!
What's up? We got Yeshua, we got Erica. What is up?
Yeah.
Woo!
Woo, woo. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, yes. Toby.
an interesting question to ask. Unless we had more thoughts on the current topic, but it was mentioned in the chat. You know, we've heard of mental health being discussed more in households and communities. Let's say church, religious institutions, even work, or in your own households. Have we heard mental health being talked about more, and like have there been actionable, I don't know, things that are recognizing kind of like the changing world and like, hey, let's actually like, have we heard these things come up more in our community? Not just like kind of online, because yeah, we can see these things on Instagram all the time or wherever, but in your own homes, household, the people you've always interacted with and growing up with, has there been a shift in conversations around mental health, more openness? Have we kind of seen that a little bit more in the natural conversations, not just some of these like spaces online or of course therapists? That would be interesting to hear about, if people have noticed that their own loved ones and coworkers or wherever have been talking more about mental health and like what strategies have been offered around that.
I've definitely been hearing it more so in my family. I mean, kids have big feelings too, Yeshua. It's not just little feelings. Like little people, little feelings. No. But sometimes they do have little feelings though. But that's good that they express it. I've definitely been hearing it in my family, more so. I think, you know, just with everything that's been going on, especially with COVID. But I don't know, like my family, I don't want to say like we're like progressive, but since like one of my sisters went to Harvard, you know, so she was always like up in Boston for a while. That's a very like liberal progressive area. So she was always, you know, more so open and stuff about therapy and all that. I've always just sort of like, when I know that something's kind of wrong, then I'll try to go and seek out, you know, like I clearly know that I do need some form of therapy. It's sort of weird to say that even still, because it's like, I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but you guys probably already do anyway, so. But I feel like from being a Redditor since like for about 9 years now, and you know, Reddit's always been a progressive internet space. You know, especially back then, they were always like for therapy and things like that. My social media friends have always been, so I've always been okay with it. You know, I always knew that this was something that is good. I definitely see it more in my family. Like my mom was seeing a therapist for a bit, which, you know, she was seeing her for, you know, a little while, and like a while, like compared to, which was good. You know, it definitely seemed like she improved. You know, because she was going through a lot. My sister saw, you know, a therapist. One of my sisters even considered being a therapist. I didn't even know that she was considering that, you know, like years ago. That was pretty cool. So we've always been sort of open about it. But I think we've been talking about it a little bit more. So I'm happy about it, especially like my friends too. But my friends have always been sort of more on the understanding progressive side.
Stopping by, if you're still there.
And then teach me how to Reddit. Teach me how to Reddit.
That's exactly what I was.
Literally what I was thinking about too. I'm glad that we had the
synergy.
I know the Simulink or whatever.
Teach. Actually taught my friend how to use Reddit to help promote his OnlyFans. I felt
that's what you were referring to about the OnlyFans before.
What?
You mentioned that you were helping promote someone's OnlyFans.
Oh yeah. I helped him through Reddit, because like on Instagram he kept posting on his stories like, if you see this, subscribe to my OnlyFans. And I'm like, I don't think Instagram stories is your best course of action. Plus, you don't even have a direct link to your OnlyFans on your Instagram profile. So I started getting into marketer mode. And I was like, what you should do is that you should probably go on Reddit, go to these subreddits. He was like, oh, okay, thanks. And I guess he helped. I guess it helped.
Wow, you really are a gig. You're like I feel like you could be a consultant and gig worker in the making. If you broke away from your the 9 to 5 in the corporate.
I considered it because I was like, there might be consultants for OnlyFans. I don't know if I'd want to do that. I don't even know what OnlyFans even looks like on the inside, to be honest. Occasionally, I think about downloading it just to see what the app looks like because I have no idea. Because I don't know how you traverse the app. So I
don't even know if they have an app, to be honest.
I think they have an app. They have an app, right?
I've theoretically been on it. It's been on the actual mobile site.
I mean, I'm not judging either of you if you've gone on it. Like I literally just said I helped my friend with his own.
Yeah, no. I'm just like, I just don't think. I mean, they might have an app. I have to look more into it, but like, I've always just been like, okay, mobile thing. But usually because someone on Instagram has a link to the OnlyFans, or not Instagram, Twitter, maybe Instagram, but usually Twitter. And then I'm like, okay, I click it, and yeah. But it's definitely, it's a little different than like maybe some other forums or things that I've seen, profiles that I've seen. So it's interesting, but I didn't even mean specifically about OnlyFans. It's just an interesting thing that you could like market and like help people kind of like consult and do these different things where it's like, okay, boom, you're going to help them with this need. And it could be something unconventional like OnlyFans or Tinder. Like that would be so funny if it's like you went into that field because like you said, you don't even use the OnlyFans and like you've been on Tinder, but you're not like, I feel like it's like a place you've given up hope for. So it's like you could like make a lot of money from these areas that you're not really actively using or like promoting. It's like not your field of expertise, I should say, but it's something that you could be very like good at helping people with. But that's a side thing.
I mean, I thank you because I've been trying to figure out what I could do as, like my own personal business, whether it's a brick and mortar physical place or an online space. Like I want to just create my own business of some sort because I'm sort of tired of working underneath people. It's not like I mind the people, I enjoy the people that I work with. It's just more so like, where do I go from here kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm going through a midlife crisis. So now I'm like truly questioning my future life. It's like, what should I be doing?
Right. It's funny because I did go on OnlyFans. 2 reasons. One, just to kind of see what it's all about. I read an article about it. And for 2, one of the people that I followed on Twitch, they actually had an OnlyFans and they wanted to get promoted and everything else, which I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I have no problem supporting you because like I think you're a really cool person and everything else. And it's really weird because a lot of celebrities, they use it. And a lot of them use it to actually connect with their fans.
I noticed that Cardi B has an OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's for her to have an OnlyFans. I'll put it to you like that.
It's very on brand for her. That's what you said.
It pretty much taps into her past life. I'll put it to you like that.
Right. Because she used to be
it taps in. Yeah. And so I'm like, no. Like, I'm gonna leave that one alone. But the one person that I follow, it was just getting started. It was, bare and whatnot. But this person almost turned it to like a mini podcast, which was cool. So it was different, but it was cool because most people would say OnlyFans is for those things that are like not safe for work, you know, that
Yeah.
you know, it's catered to that. Plus, with the article that I read, it was saying how like a lot of the adult entertainment like sites, a lot of their actors and actresses, they were moving away from the traditional adult sites and moving their clientele to OnlyFans because they wanted to feel more
Independent.
Not as well intimate too, but more so they wanted to be a little bit more connected with the people that is watching them.
Right.
Like okay, if you're paying me, like I want to know like you're not just some random creep guy and whatnot who's living downstairs in their mother's basement for 30 years and whatnot. Like no, like are you like a legit person who got themselves together and you're just here, just because,
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of the profiles that I saw, especially like the women on there, a lot of them, it was mainly more so like one did a cooking show, and people paid for her to cook a recipe, and then sometimes it was like, well, can you make a dish in a French maid's outfit? Just throw that out there and whatnot. And they paid her the money to do it. And once she raised enough, she did it. And then there was a guy who was a think of like a dancer for like a Chippendale somewhere. He did the same thing too. And it was like, it was another way to kind of make money. But rather than going through like 3 different sources, of course, OnlyFans, they get their cut, and then the person who has the page, they get, a lot more because now rather than having, like I said, to go through like 4 or 5 different sources, they go through just one, and yet they still make more than what they did on like any other site. So it's working out for them, for the most part, until something else weird happens, but who knows?
What I do appreciate about like porn actors and strippers and people in the sex industry that they're moving towards OnlyFans. What I really like about it is that it's a lot safer too, because they have control, especially the women. They have control of what to do, what to perform, and who and what to deal with. Whereas when you're doing porn, you have these mainly men who are the directors, cinematographers, producers, everything, and they're creating this wild male gaze fantasy for men. And they're sort of just using the women as sex tools essentially, when they're once again a whole ass person. Like porn stars are whole ass people too. So like they deserve to be protected and everything, and and all of that. And also porn actors also have agents too, so agents will probably want them to do certain films and things like that, even though the actor actress themselves probably don't really want to engage in that, but that's probably where the money is, or they may want to do something else and that's where the money isn't, and so the agent will be like, no, you can't do, like, for example, interracial or IR pornography is, a lot of agents don't really want their actors and actresses to perform in that because like there's like a I guess it's just like to have like a white actress or actor sleep with a black porn actor actress is, I guess, sometimes is not good, which is sad and hella fucking reasons. But I don't know. There's something about it. I can't quite remember. I think like they're paid less, or there's something about it. I can't remember. The Daily Show did something about like spoke about it years ago. So I can't quite remember what exactly the stigma was behind it. There might be a stigma. But there might be something like that. But if you're, a porn actor, a porn star, and you have your OnlyFans, and you can do whatever the hell you want, and you don't have an agent, it's just you. So, maybe your clientele, maybe your fans really wanted you to have sex with a black man this whole time. You just didn't know because your agent was saying otherwise. So,
yeah.
I just like, just the independency and the freedom of, like OnlyFans and, all these other gig work kind of apps like Uber, and et cetera, and so forth. We didn't really get a chance to talk about OnlyFans in our gig work episode, so I'm just sort of saying that now.
Yeah.
Not to mention.
Go ahead, Toby.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna say this. That's actually it's funny because I literally was about to say, and we'll have a sex work episode anyway, which will be good to talk more about this stuff in detail with a guest, of course. So it's funny that Yeshua just mentioned that because I was like, this will actually be a precursor of things to come. No pun intended.
Oh, puns are intended.
Yes, puns are always intended.
Puns are intended, but anyway, if y'all caught that, y'all caught it. But yeah, so what were you about to say, Ron?
Oh, nothing. Oh, nothing. I didn't get that thought out.
But I know this, like what Yeshua said, this talk went left.
Yeah.
Honestly, to bring it back, it's the whole independency of, which, can be good for your mental health. So whether, you're a porn actor, actress, or, whatever it is that you do, you at least have the independency of, working for yourself, and rather than working under someone who you just assume knows more or knows, or, you just kind of have to blindly listen. So
true. So true.
It's just like quitting your job and, traveling, or quitting your job and doing your own thing. People do that, every so often, do it quite often, for their mental health. They don't really do that for for anything else. Really. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw. I remember it was probably a Facebook. I think it was the Humans of New York. I used to see their stuff all the time, but I think since Facebook rearranged their algorithm, now it's like you get more things directly from your friends versus like other groups and stuff. So I used to always see, or I should say pages. Groups are fine because they're still more intimate sometimes. But I remember I used to see Humans in New York, and some years ago, it was like this guy who said that he was I think it was for Coca-Cola. He was a corporate lawyer working maybe 80 hours a week. And like at one point he like asked if he could take vacation or that he needed to like do something. And they said no. So he like quit his job. He said that he gave his dog. It's so funny because he like gave his dog to like a neighbor or I think a family friend. And he went to like, I don't remember what country, but he went somewhere to Europe. If I can find the post, I will. But that's just crazy, and it's like a sad state of affairs in this country where it's just like, yeah, you're gonna just quit your job completely because they won't let you have your time off. I mean, it depends on the job, but like the corporate lawyer and some of these like you're just like always on the grind, like high demand, high stress. So unfortunately, yeah, like sometimes you have to like break up with your job. I mean, easier said than done. Kind of, obvious to most people here, but UBI or something like it would give you a little more leeway to say, screw this noise, I'm out. I mean, in reality, like it depends on the type of job. Like a corporate lawyer at Coke is going to make a lot more than 10K, 12K, or even what are they proposing now? 2K a month. So it really depends, but you can still shift your lifestyle around. If you had some kind of safety thing where it's like, I'm going to work for myself, I can get a business license, I can do all these things, or you could just volunteer in your community. I know people who like I remember hearing about homeless people who would like beautify their community. So some people would take like homeless people or others and like help them clean up or like lay bricks. I mean, you can argue about whether I thought it was an interesting idea, but the point is like, you could like take ownership of something like that where you don't want to really be working for the man or working for whatever. You can work for yourself or be involved in your community as a volunteer, beautify your community, do all these things. And that would be great for your mental health as well, where you kind of live for yourself and you can find another higher purpose. I mean, you can still do that with a job and stuff, but it's there are times where you essentially are putting that above yourself. Like, you know, you're putting the job above maybe family and other things. Like, there's just a lot where you know that you need to take a break, or you know that you need X, Y, and Z, but you can't. Or I remember even seeing an article. I don't know if this was on Quora, but it was something where there was a project manager, or like someone who I guess planned conferences and did different things for her job. Like, there was supposed to be a conference. She was working with clients, and she mentioned that she was going to go on vacation for some days. And the clients were really adamant, like, no, we absolutely cannot have this. Like, you don't, like, we need you to be there. And she kind of like had an ultimatum where it was like, I am going on this vacation that has been planned in advance. And if you want my services and you want this thing, like, you have to trust my ability to have this thing planned, regardless of whether or not I'm there. I have my best people there, and this event will go on. They ended up accepting her demands or whatever, and everything went fine. But it kind of spoke to, like, that's crazy that like, are they just not gonna? Because I mean, what if like something tragic happened? Like, she even said, like, what if I like got in an accident, I got sick or something, and I wasn't there? Like, are things not really gonna operate? So unfortunately, there's that feeling that, like, if I'm not there, things won't happen. You know, you can't take the break. But then it's like, what if, like, literally, like, you I don't want to be morbid, but like you could die. Like, there's all these things that can happen, and it's just like, are we really not going to be able to take a break? Like, are things not built into the point that I can, like, not like have my life back? So unfortunately, the way that things are often set up, it's mental health takes a backseat when it comes. Sometimes it depends. My company is pretty good with work-life balance in ways, but a lot of times it's just like you just have to go, and there's not really a lot of allowance. So that you kind of sometimes have to stand up. Thank God for Jeannie and his tweet. We should link to it. But Jeannie's tweet about, like, people, companies. I think it was his company that was saying that people had to come back in the office, and his coworkers have started quitting. My company is pretty lax with it. Like, we're going to be hybrid. I don't know if they're really saying people have to go back. I guess it depends on your project. But that's the thing too, is like the remote work aspect. And companies are going to realize they're going to be in for a headache if they're going to not be flexible to, like, adapt to their employees' lifestyles. So working for people is whack. I agree. I mean, I know, yeah, you're doing your thing with whether it was like video making, you were doing photography. So like that's really cool. And I mean, it takes a lot of work for sure to like manage yourself. And you think procrastination is bad in the corporate world. Well, God, I'm sure it would be like god awful if you're like working for yourself. But at the same time, you have that drive to work for yourself, to like take on clients, to do the photo shoots, to do graphic design or whatever. So it has its ups and downs, but like I feel like, yeah, you're gonna be more motivated to work for yourself. But it takes a real discipline to do that. But not saying it's a silver bullet, but that is a possibility where, you know, you might have to change things up with your job. I know, easier said than done. You need money. We're in an economy, we're in a society, but COVID has taught us that like nothing is normal. And I mean, anything can change. And sometimes you have to reevaluate, you know, what are the things that are stressing you? Can you have, even if you can't change everything, can you at least have conversations about it? You know, maybe talk to your manager, talk to your coworker, talk to someone and say, this is not really working. This is causing stress, or this is causing some kind of pain point. Family can be hard, but, you know, I think the point I'm making is just that things are too short, and like, you know, sometimes you just have to, like, you don't necessarily need to blow the lid off everything, but you have to advocate for yourself a bit more. Again, easier said than done, and I have to walk the walk myself, but whether it's in work and other areas, there's a lot of places where you have to kind of, you know, not be selfish, but just be like you got to look out for yourself. So I can go on.
I don't think being selfish is necessarily bad, at least in certain aspects, of course. like we're taught that it's, it's a bad thing, but there are times you really have to be selfish, especially for certain things like, obviously your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. You have to be selfish about that. You have to be selfish about making time. You have to be selfish about, really enforcing your boundaries. You have to be, selfish about those sort of things, just so you can have peace within yourself. A lot of times we feel like we always have to sacrifice things for other people. And there are occasions, of course, where you have to do that, especially for like your children or, people who can't really take care of themselves. You should, you have to take care of them. And, I don't really like to say the word sacrifice, but sacrifice your time and, of course, make time for them and all that. But how I see it when it comes to grown people who are, friends, coworkers, extended family, essentially people who aren't signing your checks or aren't have anything to do with your bills or the things that you got to take care of. You got to set boundaries. you got to be selfish.
Oh yeah, agreed. Agreed. And again, be selfish with yourself. Be selfish with yourself because you only got one you. There's only one of you, and you got this one life to live, and you don't want to cut it short because you neglected yourself. That's how I look at it, And in order for you to be the best you got to make sure you take care of you. At the end of the day, you got to make sure you take care of you because nobody else. That's funny, but then again, not funny. But
yeah.
Funny, but not funny. I was like, yeah. But then again, you gotta make sure you gotta take care of you, take care of yourself. Oh my goodness. So we are going to wrap this show up. Does anybody have any final questions, comments, thoughts before we go?
And also feel free in the chat, people on Twitter, whatever, if you want to add us, comment on the stream, like on the tweet, just to like have resources. If you have any resources you want to share, feel free.
Yes.
It's all space to learn.
Yeah.
Articles, whatever.
Yes, please do. Please do. And what I'll do is I'll make sure if you guys didn't catch the article about how procrastination and emotional management kind of works and hand in hand, what I'll do is I will drop it in the description box below so you guys can catch it later on. But again, make sure you guys take care of yourselves mentally. Like, do your mental check-ins, not with just with yourself, but your family, your friends, coworkers, because again, you don't know what the other person is going through because you're not with that person 24/7. And even if you are with that person, still check up on it and make sure like, hey, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Do you want to talk? Do you need to talk? I'm here. Don't press on them, but like I told my son, and I'm gonna tell everybody it's this too, always leave that door of communication open. Always. No matter what happens. Always make that door of communication open because you don't know who's going to need it at what point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what man said.
Bam. All right. So with that being said, we are out of here until next week. Peace, love, chicken grease, and all the good stuff. And we will catch y'all next week.
Yes.
Peace.
Thank you all.
Yes,
see you next week. Fun new topic, all that jazz.
Yes. Oh, yeah.